Vice Chairperson Xiao, Chairman Guo, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me here to share with you our views regarding the digital finance. So for the following 20 to 30 minutes, I'm going to share with you the driving forces of fintech innovation and the trends and challenges that we have observed and Taiwan's development regarding our fintech. And also I will give you some outlook regarding our views in the coming months. Before I get into the main parts, let's review the definition of fintech or digital finance with you for a moment. I think many organizations will just define fintech or digital finance from their surface meaning. But if you look at EU's definition, it goes beyond the surface meaning. It includes the concept of financial inclusion and efficiency improvement. That viewpoint is similar to our commissions. When our commission talks about fintech, we'd like it to bring in some value added because we want them to include financial inclusion and also to improve the efficiency. Okay, let's get into the impetus or the driving forces of fintech innovation. Let me begin with connectivity. Mobile technology and internet device have connected people. Even though they live far away from each other, they can still use a smartphone to send messages or have conversations or receive services. And think about the cases in emerging markets and developing economies. Their use of mobile money has grown exponentially after they start using smartphones. According to a report by the World Bank, over the last decade, unbanked population fell by 35%, primarily due to the increase in mobile phones and the mobile money. Computing power. It's a kind of like an infrastructure. Advanced technology relies on strong computing power. As the cost goes down and the quality goes up, the use of computing, cloud services, 5G, and data storage increase, and the use of fintech boosts. Those two factors are supply-side factors that facilitate the fintech development. COVID-19 pandemic, on the other hand, could be seen as a demand-side factor. Lockdowns during pandemic increases adoption of zero-contact services. Consumers' behavior moved from physical visit to online everything. And they can no longer stand for waiting in a line and just for receiving services. Let's move on to the trends and challenges of fintech development. First, I will talk about trends. We see some hidden areas growing. For example, embedded services. Those are like payment solutions in the e-commerce journey. Faster insurance claims based on automated medical records, and a robot advisor based on automatic decision-making process. Those services usually pay much attention to user intent. They use a lot of users' data to predict their behavior. Data sharing then become common. We see more and more data sharing happening as financial services providers broaden their ecosystem. Data sharing also trigger the demand for cybersecurity and private protection. Value chain reorganization. Financial services have broken into distinct components and offered by various providers. Mini apps are perfect examples. We have mini apps providing individual features And we also have super apps, or you can call it everything app, that integrate mini apps trying to reduce customers' switching time. Both are growing, but from recent news, you probably could find that super apps are under scrutiny because a breakdown may result in an overall shutdown and disrupt the social and economic functions. Decentralized services are gaining momentum too. It moves out the financial middleman and changes the landscape of services providers in the value chain. However, those services providers still need to build trust in the financial system. Edge computing also changed the value chain. It solved the problem of data storage and privacy. It facilitates the processing of sensitive data within national borders, while largely reduce the amount of data being sent to the cloud. Business development. From our perspective, fintechs and financial institutions are moving into three directions. Some find their niche and grow with that niche. Others try to grow by merging and acquiring other companies, especially innovative companies whose business models or technology can make up their gaps. Still others tend to be like a one-stop shop in which they provide customers with various financial services. Those trends of development have benefits, but also pose challenges to the financial market. So let's take a look at the first challenge, financial stability. New business models usually come with risks that market participants may not identify. New models may also attract new entrants who lack of risk awareness. Fintech services providers may also create interlinkage in the ecosystem and build up interdependencies across the sector. The problem of the two is that business failure in one institution will transmit to others. If we do not plan for risk spreading, we will definitely put ourselves in the midst of systemic risks. Second, consumer protection. Increasingly, unregulated products are marketed to consumers. Some of those are fraudulent, and criminals use plenty of ways digging out consumers' money. We also see it happening that the digital contracts disclose limited information on terms and conditions, fees and charges, and sometimes no clear explanation on operating procedures. Misuse of customers' identity and personal data is heard from time to time. Those all decrease consumers' trust in the financial system. Third, cybersecurity. Cybersecurity has always been an important challenge. In recent years, hackers around the world attack from broader attack points. Financial services providers, therefore, need to change their moves from fighting alone to joint defense. Over-reliance on third parties also poses threats to cybersecurity. In particular, we are now facing geopolitical tensions and should be careful about who we are going to choose to be our partners. Financial services delivered by big techs increase the competition to traditional financial services providers. Big techs not only provide customers with super apps, but also use product bundles or cross-selling to build closer relationships with users. If they are off-ramp of financial regulations, regulatory arbitrage may arise and create unfair competition. Those trends and challenges may evolve. What insights we get from there are staying vigilant and flexible, and being well prepared for the potential challenges. Now, let me give you a quick overview of Taiwan's fintech development. As I previously mentioned, Our commission values fintech services because we think it may enhance financial inclusiveness and efficiency. Given that many financial institutions have spent their time and efforts to preserve a sound financial system, we hope that fintechs do not merely bring in new technology and models. They should also ensure not to disturb the financial stability and destroy consumer protection. As to the technology they use, we are indifferent, but we require same financial activities are equally supervised by same regulations. We also rolled out measures to support an environment which enables innovation and is friendly to market participants. So for startups, our commission has set up the in-house fintech center to have easily dialogue with startups and help them solve problems. We set up the regulatory sandbox that allows services providers to test their business models without worrying about violating laws and regulations. We have established an innovation hub called FinTech Space, which helps incubate startups and accelerate their growth. And we move forward with this FinTech exhibition to help companies showcase their work and build relationships with other business. For financial institutions, we deregulate rules. We set up business trials for them to test the use of new technologies and business models under existing regulatory framework. We designed fintech certificate and training courses to beef up fintech capacity, and we established the platform of co-creation to resolve common issues and draft industry guidelines. In the area of international networking and cooperation, we join in fintech networks under IOSCO, which is an organization that organizes all the securities regulators. And we also joined the GFIN, the Global Financial Innovation Network. We also work with regulators in other countries to have experience exchange. In terms of building the ecosystem, our commission and the peripheral organizations have jointly moved forward many measures to create the ecosystem. I picked up 5 major topics to give you a brief idea about our fintech landscape. The first one is open finance. Inspired by UK's open banking policy, we started our own in 2019. However, ours is different from the UK's. We take a voluntary approach rather than mandatory one. We encourage banks to work with the third service parties, or TSPs, on the basis of outsourcing. We are also planning on moving forward on securities, open securities and open insurance, and there are some potential cases under our discussion. Second, data sharing. It is the major pain point for both financial institutions and users. In the past, they have to repeatedly input data and access users' information, personal information, when opening accounts or making transactions. We want to change that, but we also keep in mind that convenience shouldn't compromise privacy. At the end of last year, we published the guidelines for data sharing between financial institutions. The guidelines clarify in what purposes financial institutions may share customers' data with another institution. It also outlines procedures and internal control requirements for their data sharing. Third, internet-only banks and insurers. We introduced them in the hope that they could bring disruptive innovations to our financial system. Given that Taiwan already has a high density of banks, so we merely granted 3 licenses of internet-only banks to minimize the potential overbanking concerns. As to internet-only insurers, our commission is now accepting applications. Fourth, e-payment. Last year, we amended the Act governing electronic payment institutions, which creates a limited license of a small amount outward remittance for migrant workers. The Act also increased pathways for e-payment institutions to build interoperability and the payment ecosystem. As of the end of last year, 68% of people with age of 15 and above use e-payment. Finally, the embedded services. In Taiwan, the most common cases include insurance, lending, payments, and banking. You will find their services on the web pages or apps of travel agencies, car rentals, e-commerce platform, food delivering, and transportation services. Fintech development should never forget cybersecurity so that people maintain their trust in the financial market. Our commission published the Financial Cybersecurity Action Plan in 2020. It lays out 4 key areas, seeking to first enhance cybersecurity supervision. Financial institutions should foster a cybersecurity culture and appoint a chief information officer. Regulators should also build up their staff's capacity. Second, strengthen cybersecurity governance. We encourage financial institutions to introduce international cybersecurity standards, assess their cybersecurity maturity, and provide adequate training to employees. Third, enhance cybersecurity resilience. Industry associations should establish guidelines for financial institutions to identify their core business lines and tolerance of disruption. Establish disaster response operation and recovery plan, and strengthen their resilience based on results of their stress test, scenario analysis, and various exercises. And finally, implement cybersecurity joint defense. We have already established 3 sector-wide cybersecurity settings that are FISAC, FCERT, FSOC. All of the 3 are built to help we have this solid defense system for the financial market. Now let's take a look at what we think that for the next coming months we are going to see. We think these 3 areas we think is very important for the market participant to really pay attention to. The first one is AI and its governance. We are seeking increasing use of AI. There are some new areas. The emergence of low-code or no-code environment will speed up the adoption of AI in the organizations. The emergence of generative AI platform will make the creation of content, images, and business process more easily. And the huge energy consumption of AI is drawing concerns. Training deep learning algorithms and computing consume huge energy and contribute to CO2 emission. The increase of AI adoption changes employees, organizations, and the entire industry. For the next several years, we need to think about how we split jobs between humans and machines, what skills our organizations need to have, how to maintain or retain talents, and how to redefine the job roles. The use of generative AI platforms will become a big issue, and we need to be very careful about how it will be used on digital identities and marketing materials. We think financial services providers should really consider bringing in ethics into their organization and establishing code of conduct of AI. As to the energy consumption issue, efficient use of AI should be put on organizations' agenda. Using AI in the right way, having a good plan before training and using AI algorithms, and introducing advanced technology may help reduce energy consumption. If financial institutions can manage to do that, they can expand that experience to their clients and help fulfill their commitment of sustainability. Talking about sustainability, let's look into the area of sustainable fintech. This area is very young and still in its infancy, but it has great potential for development. The current development on ESG prompt companies to pour in resources in this area. Those development requires huge amount of data and automatic analysis to identify risk levels and to make informed decisions. Sustainable fintech alongside sustainable finance could help gather information, tackle capital use, and streamline procedures of due diligence, and deliver credible recommendations for business strategies. Digital literacy program becomes really important. People are interacting with people in digital environment. They authenticate their digital identity, and they leave behind much personal information. If their digital identities or information are misused, their life will become very miserable. And finally, we have to use the red tech. To deal with those challenges, those red tech should be advanced. We know that there are some financial institutions already introduced the red tech, but we are going to see the next iteration that brings breakthrough technologies to address issues such as regulatory reporting, compliance, and transaction monitoring. Finally, the virtual world, crypto assets and metaverse is the area that we can't overlook. Crypto assets and related services providers have grown rapidly in recent years, while the regulatory regimes divide. The most eye-catching development recently is the EU's regulation of market in crypto assets, or MiCA. It brings crypto assets, their issuers, and services providers under a regulatory framework for the first time. And it will also cover measures to ensure investor protection and financial stability, at the same time allowing flexibility for innovation. In other words, a comprehensive framework for crypto assets. MiCA is anticipated to be released early next month. So regulators in the US or the UK and the rest of the world are, their regulations are in piecemeals or in patchworks. So regulators worldwide are watching how member states of the EU move forward with the unifying regulation. As to metaverse, technology in virtual and augmented reality are going to reshape our lives. It increasingly blurs the line between the physical world and the virtual world. When more and more people enter into the metaverse, it's time for our financial services providers really to think about how they are going to change their way for doing business. They probably need to enhance users' immersive experiences and help customers to resolve problems in the metaverse. In this presentation, I have covered the fintech definition, trends, and challenges. I also gave you an overview regarding Taiwan's fintech policies and development status. At the end, I summarized some areas for watching, and we think their development will swiftly change the way we work and provide services in the financial system. Let me thank you again for your participation in this forum and hope you have a fruitful afternoon. Thank you.